Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Aiden, from Cartoon Apocalypse, and today I have some very exciting news for you. Just yesterday, a new episode of Miraculous Ladybug came out, and this was super excited because I had just finished watching all of Miraculous Ladybug and I've been waiting for a new episode to come out. It's just been super exciting because I was like, oh my gosh, a new Miraculous Ladybug video. This will be my first new episode since I watched the entire series. And I mean, it's not over yet, and obviously because this is another video on it, on a new episode anyway. And this episode is really interesting, and it contributes to a pattern that I have been seeing in the more recent episodes. But before I get into that, I just want to say that there is a spoiler warning. This episode came out yesterday, as of today, so if you haven't seen it, then go watch it. If you are a true Miraculous fan, or is just smart on the internet, then you'll know where to get it. And one other thing to note, this is an English dub. It actually released in English before it did any other language, which I thought was surprising, because usually they release French, and then it goes on from there. At least that's what I've found, at least. So yeah, this was pretty exciting. It first aired in Canada, and it seems like Thomas Oestrup didn't even know that it released, because he asked the question, what, did the episode come out already? And on Twitter, and it was just pretty funny because he didn't seem to know. And that just shows how far they are on the show, to where it's just like, oh wait, they're not really paying attention to the older episodes anymore, just because they're so far along in the show. So pretty much, things that we have learned in this episode. The first thing that we learned is that Adrian's father, or Mr. Agreste, is actually getting suspicious of Adrian. Now, we did think, or at least for me anyway, I thought that he knew that Adrian was Cat Noir. Now, obviously we find this is not true, because he is questioning it, and we find out later in the episode that he ends up to believe that Adrian is not Cat Noir, because he thinks, oh, Adrian and Cat Noir were together in the same vicinity, when it was actually that other guy who was just like Adrian's doppelganger, and it just kind of looked like Adrian because he had the space helmet on, and so it was just very clever of Cat Noir to do that, or Adrian, whatever you want to call him. So this episode was pretty typical. I mean, it had Ladybug and Cat Noir in it, and they were fighting an evil monster called the Gorzilla. But there were a couple interesting plots, and the pattern that I was talking about a minute ago involved Marinette and Adrian getting closer and closer. As we have seen throughout the episodes recently, they have been getting closer and closer to each other, not so much as oh, we're getting as a relationship, more of just a friendship, bonding, and eventually a lot of friendships like that turn into relationships, which is pretty cool. So that means that Adrian could be inevitable for the future, and we already know that it is, based on Thomas Oestrup Twitter or Instagram post. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but he confirmed that it would happen in the near future, or at least just sometime in the show. So hopefully that is something that occurs here soon, and it's turning out to be something that will be here soon as well. Another amazing thing that we saw was Emily Agreste. I think it's Emily. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm almost positive it's Emily Agreste. Now, when we first saw it when Adrian was at the movie theater, her face was cut off just due to the fact that everything just got interrupted and things like that. But at the end of the episode, Mr. Agreste shows Adrian the movie with Adrian's mom. And we see a 2 or 3 frame image of her. Now this is pretty interesting because I think this is the first thing we've seen other than a painting of Emily Agreste. And I don't know if we knew the exact name, but now we do. So there was definitely some bonding between Mr. Agreste and Adrian, and that's pretty good. And now Mr. Agreste doesn't believe that Adrian is Cat Noir, and he said that, oh, if you keep on keeping secrets from me, I'm going to suspect secret things, which we do know he was referring to him being Hawkmoth, and because he thought that Adrian was Cat Noir. And one other cool thing that we saw is we saw the transform transition for Hawkmoth. Now that I thought that was pretty cool because that was the first thing that we have seen of this, and we now have the transition for, or the transformation, whatever you want to call it, for Mr. Agreste / Hawkmoth, which I thought was pretty cool. So yes, there were some plot-driven things in this episode, such as Hawkmoth and Emily Agreste. And speaking of Hawkmoth, at the very end of the episode, we saw Mr. Agreste's lair, which was right directly under Adrian's room, or at least that's what we saw. And it was actually a little bit different because it kind of looked like a lab and a little bit of a sewage water place. I'm not exactly too sure, But I honestly had thought it to be an open room, but this looks like it had a bunch of bars and things in it. So I don't exactly know what that means for this, but it's something to keep in mind, which is interesting. So yes, that was the plot-related things, like pretty much Hawkmoth stuff and Emily Agreste. We got to see those things. But then there was the shipping aspect, which happens in a lot of episodes now, recently especially. But we saw that Adrien and Marinette got closer together, which was pretty amazing if you ask me. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but Adrien and Marinette spent a lot of time together, and Marinette didn't, like, freeze up as much as she usually did. I mean, there were a couple times that it happened, but she has obviously gotten a lot better since when she first met him. And I thought that Adrien ad was pretty funny, and especially in the movies when Marinette was like, "Oh, Adrien, dreamy," or however the thing went. It was pretty funny, but it was also funny to see Alia and the other girls' reactions when, like, they were like, "Marinette, where are you?" And then Marinette was like, "Oh, I'm getting ready." And then the ad came on. That was pretty funny. And I guess we learned that Marinette is scared of horror movies. That's another interesting fact, I guess. But this is actually one of my favorite episodes now. Now, obviously, there are some that can't top it, just because this is not so much of a plot-filled one as much as other ones are. And to be honest, there's not too much plot in the show at the moment, which is expected to pick up here in the near future. But it's good to see that there is a little bit of plot in it, and that's partly why I'm saying that this is one of my favorite episodes, as well as it really pushes along Adrienette. And it just gets me super excited for when Adrien and Marinette will reveal their identities to all of the world to see. So that's going to wrap it up for today's video. If you guys enjoyed this, like, analysis video, if you want to call it, more of just like the important points, then you can go subscribe and like and comment and all that stuff like that. And it's kind of hard to do analysis, like true analysis videos on this show, or maybe this is a true analysis, like going more or less minute by minute on each episode, just because they're pretty much the same plot arc throughout each episode. Oh, someone gets mad, and then they get akumatized, and then, oh, Cat Noir and Ladybug do fighting stuff. Then Ladybug calls her Lucky Charm, and then they save the day. And that's pretty much it. But it's good to catch up on the main points of each episode, which is what I did today. So if you guys enjoy this format, then you can leave a like and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, about just like from Miraculous, because I know most of our supporters is of Star, and if you are new to this channel, then yeah, welcome to the channel, I guess. Alright, that's gonna wrap it up for today, and I'll talk to you guys later. Goodbye.
Not yet, we're not.